let's talk about what you can still grow in November. Now, I know the gardening season is winding down for many people, but there are still plenty of cool weather crops, cool season crops that will thrive. If you are new here, welcome to the Scaredy Cat Gardener. I'm Pam. Thank you so much for joining me in my garden today. I typically don't have a fall garden because I do have a long growing season, and I like to plant my spring and my summer vegetables and herbs in succession. So I still have plenty growing on. Although behind me it may look sparse and it may not look like it's thriving much, but I still have quite a bit out here. So I typically don't do a fall garden. But if you want to keep growing, here are some things that you can grow even in November. Let's start off with vegetables, kale being the first one on the list. It's actually a nutritional powerhouse that becomes sweeter with cooler temperatures. So you want it to grow in cooler temperatures. It can even stand all the way down to a little frost. You want to use well-draining soil. And even though the temperatures are cooler, regular watering, we forget that sometimes that we still need regular watering, even though we have cooler temperatures. And then give your plant, your kale, an occasional fertilizing. You want to try varieties like Russian kale. It's actually called red Russian, and then there's another variety that's called Siberian. Both of those are perfect for your cooler weather. And in order to have continual growth, you want to harvest your outer leaves, leaving the center right intact so it can continue to grow. Spinach is another one. It's a healthy, leafy green that can be harvested all throughout the cooler weather. It grows well in partial shade, well-drained soil Again, even when it comes to your spinach, get in the habit of harvesting your outer leaves and leaving your center intact so that your plant can continue to grow. And believe it or not, you can grow lettuce, okay? Lettuce, there are varieties like Winter Density and Black Seeded Simpson. Both of those are cold tolerant. And you can harvest this lettuce all throughout the winter. So don't feel like, oh, it's not spring and it's not fall. I can't get my lettuce. With the right varieties, you can get your lettuce too. You want to make sure that your lettuce has consistent moisture. That doesn't mean overwatering, but that does mean make sure you do water and that it stays consistently moist. You still need your well-drained soil. And of course, with lettuce, even just like in the summer, we do get our temperatures can rise sometimes and we still get that sun. You want to provide some shade for your lettuce. Bok choy, that's one of my favorite. And unlike most people, I love my bok choy raw. I do. I like it raw and I like it cooked. It's a versatile Asian green and it is delicious. Now you want your bok choy to be in full sun to partial shade, still well draining and keeping that soil moist. Now, since I'm typically garden for one, I like to still harvest my leaves as I need it. But with bok choy, you can also just harvest the whole plant because they're not that large. But I typically come out and just get a few leaves as needed. Radish, quick growing, cold tolerant, and you can harvest in as little as 21 days. Now, you want to put your radish in full sun. That means it still needs at least 6 hours of sunlight a day. So if you have a sunny spot, even though the temperatures are cooler, you want to put it in that. You still need to have that well-draining soil and consistent moisture. Can't stress those two enough. And you can really harvest your radish just about any time. It depends on you. You want to harvest it when it reaches the size that you're looking for because it's the actual root that you're going after and you really won't be able to see it. So pull up one, and if it's large enough, you can harvest more. And if it's not, leave it alone and let it keep growing. Carrots. Now, if you want a quick harvest, you need to plant seedlings. Otherwise, you can plant them for a later harvest. Carrots also need full sun. Most of your root vegetables you'll find will need full sun, well-drained soil, consistent moisture. And beets. Beets are just like carrots. If you want a quick harvest, you need to plant seedlings. Otherwise, go ahead, plant your seeds and you'll get a later harvest. Now, turnips, that's a real hardy root vegetable, and it can stand really cold temperatures. So if you're looking to have something throughout the winter, try turnips. Full sun, well-drained soil, consistent moisture. And again, you want like the radish. You harvest it when you believe that the root has reached your desired size. If you don't know, just pull up one, and after you pull up that one, check the size, and if it's not large enough for you, let it keep growing. Garlic. I usually plant a lot of garlic right now in all of my containers so that when the spring comes, it's coming up, and yes, it's ready to be harvested if I want to harvest or if I just want the scent to ward off pets. I actually start really planting my garlic around January for myself, but I plant some now that I want to harvest in the spring. Now for our herbs, my favorite, parsley. Okay, you can grow that in containers or in the ground. Full sun to partial shade. But if you get it in there now, everybody always asks, how did you get so much parsley? And the season just began because I'm getting ready to plant some right now. Okay. And it starts to grow actually relatively quick. But when you see me with that huge amount of parsley, that's because I've planted it and I've given it time and I've waited. Chives can also be grown in containers or in ground, just like parsley. Well-drained soil, consistent moisture, and you want some full sun and some shade for your chives, just like parsley. And with chives, I typically harvest that as needed too. And rosemary. You can grow rosemary any time of year because rosemary is in the evergreen family. And just like, well, I don't have any around me, but just like your evergreen trees, your Christmas trees. Evergreens are there in the summer. Evergreens are there in the winter. Evergreens can survive and they can be there year round. Rosemary is one of my favorite. I always dehydrate some and I always have some growing in my yard. Again, like with anything, you want to make sure you choose the right variety for your zone. But these are plants that can typically be grown pretty much throughout your entire winter, or at least until the temperatures really, really drop down low. You also want to look and see when is your first frost day going to be, the average days to maturity, so you can know if it is a variety that kind of it can stand cool, but it's not that frost. You want to make sure your maturity date can reach it before your first frost is anticipated. And with everything, we're playing with nature here, okay? So your frost might come 3 weeks early. It might become 3 weeks late. It might not come at all. Who knows? We don't know that, okay? We can do our best to guesstimate it and read upon and research from the professionals that also, in actuality, guesstimate, because our weather comes from above. So we really don't know what we're going to get, but this is the way that we can prepare. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today here in my garden. I really do appreciate each and every one of you all. Take a second and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss anything. If you found this information helpful, share it out so that someone else can find the information and maybe it'll be helpful for them too. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for keep coming back and spending time in my garden with me. And my channel members, oh my goodness. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate your support, each and every one of you all. And if you are not a part of the Scaredy Cat crew, what are you waiting on? We're getting ready to do some things. Come on over and join the fun. I'm Pam. This is Zone 8A. And anywhere you can set a pot, you can grow a plant.